Guys, do you remember when I told you that cheap HD FPV was coming? Yeah, here it is. $239 today. It's the new Emax Transporter 2 HD goggles. So we can hook these up to any HDZERO VTX out there on the planet. So no matter whether you have an Emax model, something like the Apex 5 Hawk, you can bind it up to that. It also has an auto search function, and you can bind it up to other HDZERO models as well. So now you can start flying HD this winter for under $300. So that's a good option. It also has a removable monitor. So the biggest thing about it for me is that I'm super nearsighted, and I was worried about a pair of box goggles, because you guys know me a lot of times with analog reviews and I have box goggles. I end up just kind of putting them to the side for these micro whoops and things like that, and having to use my Sky Zones because they have better diopter adjustment, IPDs and all of that. This one actually goes far out enough, and it goes way out to be able to see the screen from far at a further distance. So I'm going to show you that coming up, and we're going to do a flight test real quick with it, and after that we'll come back in and we'll check these out on the bench, and I'll show you what they're all about. We'll talk about the specs, and you know, at the end of the day, are they worth the $239? Let's go ahead and do a flight test, and you'll find out. Here we go.
Okay guys, let me give you some flight testing and my thoughts on this pair of goggles. Now, I have them extended all the way out as far as I can get them away from my face, and now I can finally see, but they have to be all the way out. So if you're nearsighted, that's probably going to be your situation as well. Now, as far as the latency goes and the static feedback, I feel like outside the house did pretty well. I was able to go all the way to the back of the yard, around trees, and I'm still standing inside during this flight test. So you'll see the static come up on the screen, and it kind of looks like 8-bit static versus DJI. Looks like a blurry pixel, and it just blurs the screen. But here I feel like I can still see, even all the way at the back side of the yard. So that's the good news, and I think the color on these looks really good. And today I didn't have my Apex handy. I'm flying this is my maiden flight on my 2S Beta FPV Meteor 85. So this is a smaller 2S whoop than something like a 3.5 inch or a 5 inch you're not going to fly in the house. So this is a good quad to test out because you get to see a little bit of indoor and outdoor. And I feel like they freestyle just fine as well. So I did some super high freestyle with this high-speed freestyle that you're going to see coming up as well. So you get a little bit of slow stuff and some fast stuff. And the dog is not big on the quad inside the house. But I think the colors indoor looks really great too. I'm able to really see nice fine details. I love the way the lights look indoors. The kind of sort of golden yellow hues in the house look really gorgeous compared to analog. From what I'm used to flying indoors with whoops. And they're smack right into the stovepipe. And the more I flew these, the more I got used to them, and the more chances I was taking, especially with a whoop. And that's the coolest thing. Like, we're actually flying HD on a whoop size quad now, and even though I keep hitting walls and doors and everything, and again, this is my first flight, I'm still getting used to that distance again, and that might be my only drawback, is I had to really fly these quite a bit to get used to them, and I think if you're nearsighted, you're going to have to do the same thing. It's going to take you a little while to get used to them. But I am impressed with the range testing that I did all the way to the back of the yard. They did good, and they have nice penetration. Let's go back to the bench real quick.
All right, guys, there they are. Man, I was telling you guys that something was about to change in the FPV community for HD. It was about to get super cheap, and thanks to HDZERO and Emax teaming up to make the Transporter 2s, the HD version of the Transporters, this is great. This changes a lot for everybody. And I feel like this is something that myself and other people have been waiting for in the FPV community, the tiny whoop community, and the microbuses community forever. We've wanted to fly HD indoors during whoop season when it's freezing cold outside, and be able to record to an HD DVR. That's really nice. The DVR on this works really great, and I showed you some of that in that flight test, but I love it. Now we can do this for under $300. $239 for the Transporter 2 HDs is much cheaper than going out and trying to buy anything that Walk Snail sells. Those goggles are around $700 or more expensive than the DJI goggles too. So at that point, you might want to just get DJI. But if you want to start out in HD, and you say you're buying your first quad coming up, maybe you get the Tiny Hawk 3, but maybe you wait around for maybe possibly the Tiny Hawk 4, where they release this with a ready-to-fly bundle, because originally the transporters came with the Tiny Hawk 3, so it would be super cool if Emax released this pair of goggles with a Tiny Hawk 4 with HDZERO on board. I would love to see a 2S version of a Tiny Hawk 4. That would be so cool. Or make it flyable 1 and 2S. So that would just be super cool for the community. Now these are 720 by 1080p screen here, and this does come off. It's detachable. It also has a tripod mount in the bottom, which I really love. It has venting on the bottom as well. We've got a nice 1080p DVR on the side there, SD card up to 32 gigabytes. And the screen size on this is actually around 4.45 inches. It does have magnification there, and I have to say that the screen goes far out enough for me. It goes way out, over an inch right here, and it gets this monitor far enough away from my eyes, having being nearsighted, that I can see this in focus. So there is no kind of adjustment here on the bottom for IPD or anything like that, but being able to get them to go way out really helps out a lot. And as far as guys with glasses, I'm not 100% sure that you could fit your glasses inside here, but it is really soft foam on the outside edges. So if you have a smaller pair of glasses that possibly fits in here, you could maybe use glasses with these. But I would have liked to have seen, like the Cobra X has, little inserts on the side for the arms of your glasses to slide into. That would have been super nice. Maybe a little wider here to accommodate for guys with glasses. So that's yet to be determined there. So we also have two linear 3 dB antennas on here. You can move those to the side like that or put them straight up. These, I think 3 dB is okay to start, but you're going to eventually want to upgrade these to something like 8 dB, maybe some Fox here antennas or something like that. We also have on the front, we have a power button, and these are pretty intuitive to use. You have the OK button there, and you have the up down buttons right there, and there's also an auto search feature. So when you turn these on, you'll see the Emax logo load up, and it'll start automatically looking for your HDZERO channel. The one thing that I really love about the Transporter 2 HDs is that it does have a built-in fan on here. So this DVR is recording HD DVR, and it's receiving from the transmitter HD. So you have a lot going on inside this monitor and receiver. So it's nice to see that there's an external built-in physical fan on these. Now your FPV monitor does come off just like that, and you can see here there's well over an inch of extension here for getting the screen further away from your eyes, which is really nice. They also have put a big giant surround in here that is completely made of rubber, and this stops a lot of the light leak coming through for any light leak here. It's also magnetic with 4 magnets in the front, and it just pops back on. And I honestly felt like the extension itself, this felt a little bit cheap to me, the way these pull out. They're kind of finicky to get into that last slot right there. So just be extra careful that you don't pull too hard and kind of sever that rubber internal spot right here. If you sever this right here, you're going to get some kind of light leaks, and you're going to be putting Gorilla Tape on it to try to cover up your light leak. But to turn them on, all we have to do is press the power button on the front right bottom corner there, and you'll see the Emax logo load up first, and then you will start to auto scan and find your channel. What I also like is the fact that they also auto record. You'll see a red light up at the top right when it's recording. And before we plug in a quad, I just want to let you know that you can also externally power these with any type of external power supply if you plug in a USB-C port right here. So once you plug that cable in, you'll have an external power supply if your battery is getting low. All right guys, let's go ahead and plug in a quad. Let me go ahead and show you what it looks like when it auto scans. And I love that this set of goggles auto scans when you plug in a quad. So we have it plugged in there. Now it automatically comes up. You can see the image quality. Yeah, it looks pretty awesome. It looks much better than any of my analog quads. So up at the top of the screen, we have the battery level inside this unit. We have the channel that we're on, and we're on channel 1. You can see the band we're on is R1. You also have the record button right here. That little round circle is now red and it's recording. You can see that we have our vid link here, which is looking full bars up there. This will drop, and now you see low power hop up. So let's go ahead and jump into the menus. If we long press on the bottom, it brings up the brightness. We can turn that up and down, which is super cool. And to get out of that, we can long press the top arrow. That will take you into the system menu here. We can do an auto scan. We can do playback here. We can go into the DVR, which is cool. We can play back videos. We can format the SD card. You can also change the record mode from auto. I like to leave it set to auto because when you plug in the quad, it auto records. That's really awesome. Record to format. The OSD you can turn on or off as well for recording, so that's kind of cool. And the auto scan feature, you can turn that off as well. So on or off, right now it seems to be off. And the about button right here, if you press OK, that will make a selection. And right now it looks like we have modem firmware 40.C.48 for HDZERO on here. It shows the manufacturer as Emax. That's pretty cool. So let's go ahead and press OK again. That will take us back to the main menu. And if we press OK again, let's see if we can get out of here. We're just going to hit the scan button there and see if it go ahead and bring us back out to the original FPV view. So that's pretty quick and dirty tutorial on how to use this. And you're going to use these buttons on the menu here. You can see M is on there. If you long press that, it'll take you into the menu. Long press the down one, and that will take you into the brightness controls there. And on this side again, it was to make a selection with OK. And long pressing the power turns this unit on and off. So pretty simple. Long press and it will turn off. So, I mean, what are some key takeaways from this review? What can I give you that will help you if you decide to buy these or not decide to buy these? Let's talk about some pros and cons. The pros are definitely the price, $239. That's great. The screen looks amazing. I love that the monitor is detachable. I also love that I have enough length with the extension here that I can really actually see being nearsighted. That is super cool. I also like the DVR on here. I think the DVR is actually pretty good, and in a way I almost think the DVR looks better than what you see on the screen. But from the video standpoint, the screen itself looks way better than what you're seeing on this camera. So when you get a pair of these, you'll have that kind of shock and awe, like whoa moment like I did with DJI when DJI first came out. If you're going from analog to these, you're gonna be happy when you get these. And I also like the fact that it does have the tripod mount on the very bottom. So if you wanted to fly line of sight FPV and just, you know, technically line of sight FPV to skirt around any beyond visual line of sight rules or anything like that, you can also use that monitor for that. And it also comes with this built-in physical fan, which I think is great. But let's talk about some maybe cons about it. I feel like the extension, moving this in and out right here, to me it feels a little bit cheap, a little bit janky. It was kind of hard to get it into that last slot right there. And I'm not a big fan of this over-the-head type of strap. I'm really not a big fan of those. And it seems like this is kind of sticking here as well, and I think that the strap could be a little bit better, but I like that they have their logo on there. One other thing that I think could be better about this pair of goggles too is maybe including like some kind of patch antenna along with it, but for this price you're getting a couple linear antennas here, so that will be acceptable to get started. And man, another good pro about this, not a con, is the fact that you can fly from indoors to outdoors and still be able to make it to like the back of your property and come back inside and still have enough video FPV view there and not lose your video. I didn't ever lose my video with these goggles, and that's a really good thing. So I love the screen resolution. I just wish that this extended piece was a little nicer. So DVR, firmware updates, a good price, and finally some company made an HD affordable pair of FPV goggles. I love it, and I gotta say, big two thumbs up to Emax for making an affordable pair of HD goggles, guys. More testing and more HDZERO reviews coming up. The cheap way to HD. Finally, thank you HDZERO, and thank you Emax for making the Transporter 2 HDs. Guys, I'm Justin Davis. Take care, and I will see you on the next one.